now heads to President Trump's desk. The measure increases penalties for fentanyl trafficking and has bipartisan support. Foreign countries, including China and Mexico, are involved in the crisis. NTD's Melina Weisskopf has the details.
On a vote of 321 to 104, with more than 100 Democrats joining the GOP in support, lawmakers in the House passed the Halt Fentanyl Act on Thursday.
Opioid overdoses have become an epidemic in this country. Last year, over 100,000 Americans lost their lives to overdose, and fentanyl poisoning is the driving force behind that. But, Mr. Speaker, it is not just the country at large that's experienced this problem. In my own district, we've seen an over 1,000% increase in the rate of fentanyl poisoning and deaths.
The Halt Fentanyl Act will make fentanyl a Schedule I drug, putting it on par with heroin. Though the action saw strong bipartisan support, some who opposed it expressed concerns about the permanent fix and increased penalties for those involved in fentanyl trafficking.
The temporary option would have left the door open for an off-ramp to substances found to have potential medical applications. But this Republican bill would also exacerbate inequities in our criminal justice system because drugs placed on Schedule I include mandatory minimum sentencing.
Others, though, said the bill is critical as the Chinese regime is involved.
This bill is a critical step in combating the opioid crisis in our country because China and Mexico are heavily involved in this business. China sends the precursors of fentanyl and fentanyl analogs, the API or active pharmaceutical ingredients, to the cartels in Mexico, who are then making the drugs and bringing it across our borders. By making these analogs permanently Schedule I, it removes the incentive to traffic these drugs into our country due to the penalties if you are caught.
He noted that after Congress previously placed fentanyl into Schedule I temporarily, there was a 930% decrease in fentanyl analogs coming into the country. Analogs are often deadly alterations of medical fentanyl. The bill has already passed the Senate, and President Trump is expected to sign it. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weisskopf, NTD News.
Retired General Jackie. China's growing aggression is putting Taiwan and the region on edge. Now, a former Chinese military doctor is coming forward with disturbing claims that Beijing intends to harvest blood, skin, and organs from Taiwanese soldiers if it invades. He also claims to have witnessed forced organ harvesting firsthand during his military service. Dr. Zhen Zhi traveled to Taiwan to reveal what he knows about Beijing's plans for invading the island.
If there are burned communist soldiers, how to take a piece of skin from the Taiwan National Army for transplantation. You must recognize that the Communist Party is defeating your human nature.
The details Chung shared came from a Chinese military combat plan. He learned about it while working at the General Hospital of the Shenyang military region in the 1990s. He recently visited Taiwan to help screen the award-winning documentary State Organs, which features his first-hand experience as a doctor inside the Chinese military hospital.
It's too easy for the Chinese Communist Party to kill someone. When I witnessed live organ harvesting firsthand, what shocked me most was how easily they could kill. No trial, no legal process needed.
According to Chung, ordinary people suffer and die simply to meet the regime's demands. He warns that the cruelty of the CCP goes beyond what most can even imagine.
I would rather travel to every region in Taiwan, just hoping that live organ harvesting, this crime against humanity, will no longer hurt every family, every parent, and every child in Taiwan.
Since 1999, when the Chinese Communist Party began its clampdown on Falun Gong, practitioners have claimed that the regime has engaged in forced organ harvesting. The spiritual practice, targeted for its beliefs, says this brutal practice continues in China today. That's all for today's China.
I'm back with another episode of Just Because It Is Old Doesn't Mean It Has to Be, with our new Aquasana Whole House Water Filter.
第一呢，就是在那个香格里拉会议上面，那美国国防部长呢做了最明确的表态。一方面表态就是他认为台湾的重要性，然后就警告中共；二方面呢，就是呼吁区域各国呢，你们大家共同协力。现在我已经把我战略调整这样的，那你们要知道，你们要配合我。那这是第一点。第二点呢，那中共派出2条航母出来，一方面是要练兵，二方面就